Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis is a book that was published in 1952, exploring the basic faith of Christianity and covering what all the major branches believe in. There you go. You're welcome to read it. That's a quick summary, but if you do want a review, keep listening. Because you'll notice when you first open up that book, Mere Christianity, it's very easy to read because it's very conversational. It's like he's talking to you through the pages of the book. And, well, it's no surprise because in the preface and a quick search online, turns out C.S. Lewis was on the radio, BBC radio, between the years of 1941 to 1944, saying all of this. He was on the radio telling about his faith. Then these were compiled into separate volumes, which eventually, 1952, Mere Christianity was published with all of those different publishings under one book. And it's a very easy read, absolutely. He covers things like free will, Jesus' death and what it means for Christians, moralities, his different takes on the different ideas and areas of morality, and also the difference between making and begetting. Very old language. You'll also notice when reading that it's very British. Absolutely very British, which shouldn't surprise us because C.S. Lewis, he's from the UK. I only knew about C.S. Lewis from the Narnia books, Lion, Witch and Wardrobe, Silverchair, all that. But what I didn't know until reading this book and reviewing it is that C.S. Lewis was a literary scholar, and he worked at Oxford and Cambridge, so he really knew his stuff. And if you're not familiar with those two schools, they're very old, very prestigious, well-established schools in the UK, or universities. They're over there. They know what they're doing. Now, I did mention that it's easy to read, which it is, but that's where people can get caught, I think, because he starts off with easy building blocks for you to take in. Here's some faith, here's some examples, here's some of my opinion on it. Okay, good. Then he slowly ramps it up. In the last book, you're already going at speed. To then the last chapter, you don't even realize you're going at level 3000 going, oh my goodness! Because he just put his case through the whole book. And in that last chapter, he really slaps it down to say, I have this undeniable belief in God, and if you want to live a good mortal and spiritual life, you gotta follow Christ. I was like, oh my gosh, that bam, right in my face. Let's go. Oh yes, I'm looking at my notes while I'm doing this because it is a lot. Now, to me, I am a Catholic, so I'm reading this and he's preaching to the choir. I agree with a lot of what he's saying. So for me, nothing was surprising, but what I did realize as I reread it again was that the language he used, it's not catering to people like me. It's for anyone and everyone. He's not using all this faith, and he doesn't even mention the word God until chapter 4. I think chapter 4 in the first book that's coming out. So when I was reading that, I went, maybe this language I can use, or this type of way he's speaking through the book and of course on his radio talks, I can use that with someone who's not familiar with the faith, someone who's not really sure and just maybe has no idea about it. It's better for me to communicate that over. For an example, I was asked that rock question. I don't know if you're familiar with it or not, but the rock question is, if God made a massive rock that was too big for him to pick up, what's the deal? And this was at a bar with one of my friends, and social faux pas. You don't talk about religion at the bar, but we were doing it. And I was going there, well, I'm not sure. Because the answer I gave was, well, God, he's an all-powerful being. He knows what's good. So if he makes a big rock that he can't move, it must be for a reason. But I'm just the human. I'm not God. So whatever the reason is, I'll leave it up to him, and it's all in his plan. I remember her not liking that answer. She thought it was a bit of a cop-out. I mean, I thought it was a great answer, but then I'm not speaking her language, and of course she's not speaking mine. And reading this book highlighted it to me and went, oh, got it. Got it. Hello, it's Editing Ches here. Did you know that I have a Substack where I publish twice a month things like this? Book reviews, movie reviews, book to TV or movie adaptations, and a tiny bit of philosophy? Well, if you're more curious about that, there's a link below to my Substack where you are welcome to subscribe and follow me on there as well. Now, back to the book review. Back. In his teenage years, C.S. Lewis said, no way, Jose, I don't like this church thing. Or Christianity. Bye-bye. So from when he was a teenager till 1929, he was an atheist. In 1929, he did turn to a theist look at the view, which a theist is someone's worldview of that there is a great big being watching over us. There is a God, but not exactly sure. and then he converted to the Church of England, the Anglican Church, in 1931. So this, of course, published afterwards, and that's before, he converted before the BBC radio talks. So it seems that because he was an atheist for so long, he knows how to talk their language. And me reading the book, I'm going, oh, okay. And from that, I can see why his book is very easy to read, because of his previous experience, and he wants his message, since especially after his conversion, to have anyone and everyone understand his own Christianity and, of course, bring them to Christ. Oh yes, I also made a note that there's 2 faith chapters. I was so confused. I read faith. Okay, flip it over. Hold on. Didn't I just read that? It's more like faith part 1 and part 2, but I thought it was absolutely hilarious putting it in there. I found it funny. Oh yes, here we go. In this book, there was this argument put forward by C.S. Lewis about the mortal law, and he explains that the mortal law is something that's built into us. And that comes from God, because we're all of his creation. It's built into us. It's what he put into us. I'm trying to think of a simple example, and the only one I can think about is when you're playing a game as a kid, like Marco Polo. Someone's closing their eyes, calling out Marco Polo, Marco Polo. Whoever's playing Marco, they can go find everyone. But if they open their eyes and have a look and go, I see you, and then chases the person, gets them so that this person wins the game, great. But they didn't play by the rules. They have this feeling of, something wasn't right. Yes, I won, but it's not as satisfying as if I did win. What's that pull? That's the mortal law in you, working on you through God. When I read that, I couldn't help but think and went, hold on, isn't that the Holy Spirit? ? Again, I'm coming from a Catholic perspective. So in Catholicism, we get taught that there is three Godheads in the one. So you got God the Father, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit. They are separate entities, but they're all part of the one God, which is a great, wondrous mystery that I probably won't fully understand until I leave this plane of existence. I don't think we can learn that here and now. So when I looked at that, I said, I think he had a missed opportunity there with this mortal law that he's explaining to the best of his ability, connecting it with the Holy Spirit. I'm also not that versed on Anglican, but they're kind of adjacent to Catholicism. They're kind of like our old buddies that just broke off and said, we go UK. So I just think that was a missed opportunity, because I looked at that and said, that is the Holy Spirit. That is it. Oh my gosh, that's it. Now I did taint some of my review thing here, because I did read other reviews of this book, which is great. But it did seem that they were focusing on the faith, which is no surprise. The book's called Mere Christianity, so of course they'd be focused on the faith. But for me, look at here, you're looking at the ideals of a professor. You're seeing something captured in time. He said it, he's read it, he's put it in there. Also, just a little bit of this background, I went further than what was needed just on the book. C.S. Lewis, when those radio shows were going on, 1941 to 1944, what was going on? World War II. C.S. Lewis, I'm 98% sure he already served in the first one. He tried signing up again to fight for his country in World War II, but they said, mate, you're too old. You can't do that. No way. So you're seeing him trying to help out his countrymen. It's almost like seeing someone's faith in action. He's going, I'm called to help out my country. What can I do? Can't do that. Let me do this. Let me help out my fellow countrymen, give them some morale, and give them some faith when all this death and destruction is happening around all of us, and the threat of being taken over by these other people that we don't, what's going on? A lot of confusion. So I think it's a great look at his ideals, a great look at history, great look at his character as well, and the strength of his faith in God. So I like this book. Let's sum it up. It's an easy read. You get the basics to Christianity, have a little bit of history there, and it can be read by anyone. So anyone who's unfamiliar with the faith but might not want to dive in it, even if you take the first couple books and have a read of that and go, oh, okay, I get it. It's not a bad read. Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis. Go on, have a read. Well, thank you for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Bye-bye. I can get why characters get paid what they do. I sometimes just can't get the order of the words right.